RCWR show coming at you for Wednesday night of March 25th, 2020. We're just a couple of minutes removed from an all-new WWE NXT and AEW Dynamite. Both shows, I gotta tell you, with what AEW did last week, first go round that they, since the coronavirus went down, that they did a show in an empty arena and it had got rave reviews. We were right here last week giving that show praise. We were also immediately on Twitter/Periscope giving it praise. And the disappointment that we had got from NXT. And this week, WWE really stepped their game up with tonight's NXT. They made sure that they were hot and heavy as far as in-ring action goes. And it's interesting because, as always, when I'm watching both shows simultaneously, I always go, okay, all right, so they're doing this, the other guys are doing that. Okay, they matched each other on the number of matches that they had put on tonight. Because look at this for a second. When you go to AEW Dynamite, they had a grand total of 5 matches, and then they had their main attraction of the night to basically close out the show, which was Chris Jericho, Matt Hardy, their epic confrontation. And then you go over to NXT, and you know, if you want, you could say NXT had a little bit more in-ring action, because although AEW Dynamite had 5 matches, NXT gave you 7 matches. Believe it or not, yes, they actually gave you 7 matches. Now, some of those were a little bit short, but still, 7 matches is 7 matches. But the night ended with a confrontation between Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Triple H as somewhat of a moderator, laying it down how everything is going to culminate with these guys' feud and everything. So, looking at all of those things, I gotta tell you, just this was the week. If you were a little bit disappointed with what you had saw from WWE programming, I get it. But this week it really felt as though an effort, a really good, strong, conscious effort was made to have a really good, entertaining show. Something, and I'll tell you this, I think that in particular, when you look at the disappointing numbers in the ratings that NXT had last week, I honestly would not be surprised if internally the talk was, okay, well, let's see what we can do going forward to improve Raw, improve SmackDown, but we definitely want to improve the hell out of NXT. Those numbers last week, what was it? I think AEW Dynamite had got in about 900,000. Meanwhile, NXT had grabbed in about, I think, a little over 500K viewers. So that's been their lowest since this whole Wednesday night thing has been going on. I think that might have been their lowest period since they made the move to USA Network and everything. I'll have to research that a little bit more, and we can definitely follow up on the next show. But I really appreciate the fact that, given everything that's going on right now with our society, with this coronavirus, whatever forms of entertainment that we do have right now to try to take our minds off of some of those problems. I know look, y'all, we can keep it real. A lot of problems going on in our country with this virus. A lot of people out there looking for work. Look, I shared the news on Twitter earlier today. I've been working with the same job now for 10 years and love it. It's like a second family. I love it. But with everything that's been going on with the coronavirus, you know, we're essentially furloughed. Work is so limited. It comes in little small bursts. And I had no choice but to look for another gig. And I shared the news on Twitter. I said, hey, God is good. Was able to secure another job. So, you know, I got my hours. I got my money. I'm good to go. Family didn't want to see me leave the other job high and dry, so I'm trying to work with the other company that I've been with for so long, and trying to see if we can just have me permanently just do telework, so basically work from home, since they've already set up my computer and everything. And it's a case where, you know, when you need help, okay, well, I'm here, I'm ready to go, I can help you out remotely. You know, hopefully I can still help them out hey, I'd be helping myself out too, because that's a little bit of extra money in my pocket. But my bread and butter is going to be coming from, because I honestly believe that when this is all said and done, I know our president and a few other people would like to see all of this be wrapped up before Easter, but we got to be realistic. We got to listen to what the medical scientists and all of them are saying right now. We're probably not going to be done with this for several months. If we're lucky, maybe the earliest is going to be September. That's wishful thinking, the way that things are looking right now. But yeah, man, to be in a position right now where you can just kind of kick on back and just not think about some of those things that's going on and the hardship it might be causing on your household, to be able to escape for a couple of hours, be it there's fans in attendance or not, just the fact that it's overall entertainment and it's done in a way where it's making you give a damn. You're sitting down and you're watching all the action. Gotta tell you, AEW Dynamite, definitely NXT this week. That's what they did. So my hat's off to both companies tonight. So we'll talk about both shows as we always do every single week. Did check out this past weekend's Mlw Fusion. We'll talk about them as well. I'll also talk about briefly just a little bit of headlines that's been coming about here. But going to AEW Dynamite tonight, the epic confrontation that went down there with Chris Jericho and Matt Hardy, was loving that, because now the big cliffhanger, okay, so we kind of know it's Broken Hardy, but we officially need to hear that it's Broken Hardy. And in fact, it is Broken Hardy, but he's calling this new incarnation Damascus, and Damascus is apparently this entity that has been around for 9,000 years or something to that effect. And I love the way Matt Hardy was playing off of Jericho. Leave it to Jericho. Just when you think you've seen it all from Jericho as far as what's going to have people talking about him, or a funny, quirky segment that he was involved in on social media, just when you think you've seen it all, Jericho ups the ante. And if you would have told me a couple of months ago, you know it's going to be entertaining, you know what would make great entertainment? Nah, what? Seeing Chris Jericho in the middle of the ring talking to a drone, trying to get it to join the Elite. Like, wait, what? Yeah, seeing Chris Jericho talk to a drone and trying to recruit it to join the Elite. Vanguard won. And that's exactly what we got tonight. I gotta tell you, I'm looking at this and I'm laughing with hysteria at what I'm seeing, but at the same time, I'm going, no, this makes total sense. This is the Jericho that has manifested, this version of Jericho that's running around right now. Yeah, this makes a lot of sense to see this Jericho trying to recruit a drone. And he's promising the drone. What was he promising the drone? He was promising the drone hot, sexy female drones that was gonna surround him. He was promising fat electronic cigarellos. I'm laughing at all the stuff that Jericho was promising Vanguard won, but Vanguard wasn't having any of it, rolled away. But then you get the meat and potatoes of Jericho having the verbal confrontation with Matt Hardy. That was pretty epic. I gotta give kudos, and I gotta give kudos to the production team of AEW. I'm not sure if this was a case where, and we've heard Matt talk about this in a few interviews so far, as why he's joined AEW. He said, hey, it all comes down to creativity. I have the freedom with AEW. I know he even responded to a couple of fans on social media too, kind of echoing the same sentiments and everything. And I got to give AEW a lot of credit. If they were going off of the cues of Matt, that's phenomenal. Keep it coming. But I love that touch that they did where Jericho's looking for Matt Hardy. And at one point, you see Matt Hardy kind of like last week where he's in the bleachers somewhere, nosebleed seats. You're going, okay, so how is Matt going to get from down there into the middle of the ring? Or is he just going to talk from up there the whole time? And they did a really cool camera trick where they just had Matt just bouncing around in different sections, different seats and everything, until finally he was just bam, within an arm's length of coming inside the ring and being toe-to-toe with Jericho. I like that they did that. I do. I mean, honestly, right now, when you have this perfect scenario from a production standpoint. Really want to make sure I stress that. Nothing is perfect and cool about what's going on with this outbreak. But from a production, entertainment level, I think that it's really cool that AEW as well as WWE are in these unique opportunities where if they want to do some type of cool magical tricks, things of that nature, they can do it and they can slide it in just like what they did with Matt Hardy bouncing all around and everything. If you look carefully enough, you can see exactly the frame where they go, okay, we're going to take this. All right, and cut. Okay, and now we're gonna have Matt pop up here and cut. You can see when they're doing it. It was a nice smooth transition, but to a keen eye for those of us that are used to doing a lot of video editing, like myself and everything, you can definitely spot where they were trying to merge it in and everything. But why not? You have the opportunity right now. You're not entertaining fans in these arenas. You can get away with so much from a pre-production value that you can slide into your show, at least as far as the live aspects is what I'm talking about. You can definitely go there. So got to give them a lot of props for how they handled that. And by the way, shout out to a couple of you guys that were giving me the heads up on where AEW Dynamite was filming tonight. Looks like they were at is it the Daly's place? Is it Daly's place or Daisy's place? I believe it's Daly's place. Let me just make sure I'm looking at that in the Twitter notifications just right here. Want to give you guys some props here. See, Daly's place. Yeah, a couple of you guys had said Daly's place. So they were at the Daly's place once again down in Jacksonville, Florida. That's actually the same place they were at last week for Dynamite, and they were there last summer for a Fight for the Fallen. I'm sure how many of you guys were aware of that. And the only reason why I was so interested in knowing where they were tonight was because I saw at one point, it was actually during the first match that went down between Cody taking on Jimmy Havoc. And you see one shot kind of over their heads and outside of the ring, you see this beautiful violet sky and you're going, wait, they're outdoors? And I asked online, hey, where are they at? Because it looks like they're outside. And a couple of people had hit me up with that info. So much love to you guys. Appreciate that. So I'm loving this whole return of the broken Matt Hardy character. A long time coming. I felt that when it was in Impact Wrestling, it was such a white-hot commodity. What Matt was doing on the independents, everything about it was just so white-hot. Yeah, we had that hiccup that was going on with Ed Nordholm of Anthem Entertainment. He owns Impact Wrestling and everything. And so that kind of derailed things for a bit. Matt basically being in limbo at the time that he was in the WWE. And look, not for nothing, but we could all be in agreement. What we got with the Woken version in the WWE, it was a disappointment. We saw a lot of potential in it, but it was a disappointment. So for Matt to go back to the drawing board and really realize where his bread and butter is, to my point, I realized the interview that he did several months ago, talking about how he still had a few new gimmicks up his bag. He had a bag of gimmicks that people have yet to see that goes beyond the broken, woken gimmick and everything. And it's okay, that's fine and dandy, but right when it was getting good, the woken character just broken. So why not go back to something that was really, really good and had a lot of people talking on social media? Why not go there again? So honestly, it's a really smart move. Just from a financial standpoint, it's a smart move that he went back to something that was hugely a success for him, and how he's interacting with the elite and the inner circle. Yeah, he fits that realm perfectly. I was kind of wondering how he was going to fit into the whole ordeal and everything, and now I don't have any concerns. I don't have any concerns now that I'm seeing how they're doing this. It just feels like it makes a lot of sense, and I really like the fact that they bridged, they being the Bucks, with their Free the Elite series, and then you got Matt Hardy doing his thing with Free the Elite. I like that they basically had this, if you weren't paying attention on social media to what was going on leading up to this, it's kind of, well, then you missed it. So I like the fact that they were planting the seeds with these YouTube web series and bridging the gap there till ultimately we see him there in Dynamite. I honestly, I believe, but just my 2 cents from a distance, what I've seen so far, I know it's still relatively early, but I think Matt's going to be okay. You Matt Hardy fans, I think he's honestly going to be okay. Ain't nothing to be tripping about. So, but hey, verdict is still out, still relatively early, but gut instinct, I think he's going to do just fine there in AEW. So, kicking off Dynamite this week, we had Cody, as I mentioned, he took on Jimmy Havoc. By the way, sidebar, I want to give Cody a lot of props because on commentating tonight, you had Tony Schiavone, there was no Excalibur, there was no Jim Ross. Respectfully, these guys, they are practicing their social distancing. And it's funny because I was talking to somebody about that, a couple of people actually this week, and I was telling them, even as early and recent as, my boss at my second job, I was even talking to him about it and everything. And I'd say, the one thing that is going to be very challenging about social distancing is it's bad enough we have some youths that's out there. They're already disengaged as it is with video games and the cell phone and all kinds of other devices. And now on top of that, we're telling them, I don't try not to interact with other people because you don't want to get sick, yada, yada, yada. And so now we're even pushing as a society, as a whole society, we're even pushing even more the being antisocial. And I can't help but wonder, it was the point I brought up to everybody I was talking to about this, including Mish, shout out to Mish, what's the ramifications long-term wise? How's this really going to be affecting the youths when this is all said and done? I think it's going to be long-lasting before things are really back to normal and everything. But Jim Ross, Excalibur, practicing their social distancing, so they were not available on tonight's Dynamite. But you had Tony Schiavone, Kenny Omega was helping out at commentating, actually did pretty damn good, but Cody was pretty much the main guy for majority of the 2 hours, and Cody did a phenomenal job. I got to give him a lot of props. There were sometimes I kind of said to myself, who's the person doing commentary? I had to remind myself that it was Cody. Cody just came off as a natural at commentating. I mean, it really, really took me away. And so, I know that that's something that we can't ask of Cody to do on a regular basis because that defeats the whole purpose of having guys like an Excalibur, like a Jim Ross. But I tell you what, if there is some type of way in the future, maybe for that second show that is eventually going to be launching on TNT, maybe, just saying, maybe we could have Cody be one of the lead commentators on that one. And, maybe he could be playing off of Taz. Who knows? Be kind of an interesting little combination there. But I got to give them a lot of props. Cody, I got to tell you, I can't stress it enough. And I know a lot of times Cody gets a bit of a bad rap because he has that whole Jesus Christ, at least some people feel he has that Jesus Christ, Cody Christ mentality thing, or just the way he comes off and everything. But nah, man, I see them step up when they need to, and they got my utmost respect. And the way that they did this show tonight, that it's a family owned business. It's a family and friend owned business. But tonight it just really felt at its core that the essential people that signed on to AEW said, okay, well, during these turbulent times, we really need to push the envelope here. We really got to keep this great build of momentum that we've had up to this point, and we really got to maintain it. And if we can exceed it in a positive way, then let's do that. They really complimented the hell out of last week's show with what they had did this week. So a lot of props to them for that. Cody defeating Jimmy Havoc. Now, one thing I noticed here, the referee Aubrey Edwards. In this matchup, I did not like the fact. Now, she redeemed herself later on because there's a couple of other matches that she called and she corrected herself or at least got with the program or whatever. But with the Cody Jimmy Havoc match, Aubrey, 1 point, 2 points actually in the match, she did not start counting these guys. You know, they get out of the ring and the action is just spilling all over the place. And rather than her do the countdown, encourage these guys to bring the action to the ring, where she's going to count them out, one of them or both of them out, you know, she just does not even count whatsoever. And she's following these guys. Come on, hey, come on, get it back in the ring. Come on, come on. And it's, no, go ahead and count these motherfuckers out. They know what type of match this is. Go ahead and start doing your countdown. So 2 occasions during that match, she had an opportunity to count, and she didn't do that. I don't care how short of a distance the ramp or the tunnels might have been from the ring. You still should be counting. After all, you go later on into the program, you saw spots where action was spilling outside of the ring, and what happened? You know, some of those male referees, they were actually doing the freaking counting and all that. So Cody picking up the W afterwards. And again, from a production value standpoint, just like they did last week with the great video package they had of Lance Archer and Jake Roberts is kicking back, enjoying himself, watching his boy beat the holy living crap out of people in the ring in the middle of the woods or whatever. This week we get another really great produced video package, the video presentation of Jake Roberts. And Jake Roberts is talking about how he's had his eye on AEW for a while. In particular, he's been seeing what Cody has been doing and everything. And the main gist of his message in that was, Lance Archer, let's give him a chance. What we got to do to give him a chance. So Cody pretty much biting that. As soon as he joined Tony Schiavone back at commentating, he said, look, for a guy like Lance Archer who wants to try to challenge me, no, you got to start from the bottom. And, well, you know what? Maybe I am the person that Lance Archer needs to start with. Who knows? Well, I tell you what, if Lance wants to make his debut on AEW Dynamite next week, he can do that. If he wants to make his debut next week, he can do that. I don't care. I'm not going to be sitting here and ain't going to be no discrepancy about, hey, he didn't get an opportunity. So you want an opportunity? Go ahead, show up next week if you can. You're more than welcome. Show up next week. You got your debut match. Also, the continuation of the gambling, which I really had love from last week, that was brought back again this week. Every time we had the main action going on in the ring, they did a little split camera view, and you could see in the men's locker room, you had Sean Spears, Badass Billy Gunn, what was it, Deja Fuentes? You had a few other people. It was just a who's who. Jericho was even in there at one point, and they're all just gambling and all that. It was hilarious as they were rooting on who they wanted to see win and everything. Good stuff. Kip Sabian was in action. He lost to Darby Allin. One point we heard Cody and them reference Darby Allin, and the question was actually brought up. I'm trying to think who brought the question up. I want to say maybe it was Cody that brought the question up, which was, do you see the beginnings of a young Sting there? Yeah, I kind of had to pause and look at that, and I could kind of see what they were talking about. But I'm leaning actually more towards Jeff Hardy. I'm not sure how many of you guys are kind of feeling that. And I'm not saying he is a poor man's copy of Jeff Hardy. I don't see him as that. The fact that I can sit here and I can say, no, Darby Allin reminds me a little bit more like Jeff Hardy. That's actually a compliment for me to give, because for me, there's only one and only Jeff Hardy. So, which brought me to this point, which is, can you just imagine once Jeff Hardy meets his commitments to WWE, pays them back for the dates that he missed, that they basically tacked on to his contract and everything. Can you just imagine once he's done? Because it's going to happen eventually, Jeff in AEW. I'm telling you, Jeff Hardy, Darby Allin, whether they are at opposite sides of the ring or they're joining forces as a tag team and they're trying to become tag champions, or you want to do something with Matt and Jeff and just throw Darby in there. Or if you really want to just, such an interesting stable, you could do the Hardys and you can throw in there Darby Allin and Jimmy Havoc. I don't know what you would call them. But there is some very interesting combinations that you can do with those guys. But particularly I'm homing in on Jeff and Darby. So, but no, I see more of Jeff Hardy in Darby when I look at him. I see the point that they were making about Sting, but I'm leaning more towards, nah, man, Jeff Hardy all the way, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's like Jeff Hardy meets Tony Hawk to a certain degree. So Jack Hager, he was in action. He had a squash match. He took on a guy by the name of Chico Adams. Submission match. Post-match, Jon Moxley, your AEW World Heavyweight Champion, he did make a cameo. He got face-to-face with Hager. And they started, or Hager, I apologize, Jack Hager, and they started rumbling in the ring for a little bit. One point, Hager was able to apply an ankle lock. Moxley was able to get out of that successfully. He tried to hit Hager with the championship belt, but Hager had escaped by then. Come back from a commercial break, Moxley pretty much cut a promo. He's somewhere backstage, and his message to Hager was, hey, when you and me lock up, make no mistake about it, and the title's going to be on the line, there's no way you're going to be walking out. You're going to be carted out on a stretcher, or I'm going to die trying. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what is maybe to come in the future for Hager and Moxley. That, okay, well, maybe the title is going to be on the line, or maybe they're going to be having some type of a match that, okay, maybe it's going to be a stretcher match, ambulance match, what have you. So it's kind of nice that they were planting the seeds in there. Hey, by the way, I got a poll while we're talking about AEW and NXT tonight. I do have a poll that's up asking you guys, what did you think about the respected shows for tonight? Sound off. You can either go on Twitter. If you do not have Twitter, then go on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/the RCWR show. Click on the communities tab and you can vote that way. I'll follow up in a little bit and see what you guys had said as far as which show you guys felt which show you guys felt had the better product for this week. And we'll definitely go over some ratings predictions in a little while. You know, for me, yeah, I try to be as unbiased as possible when it comes to checking out these shows. I give praise where praise is given. I give criticism where criticism needs to be given. But ultimately, it's the fan that wins because they've got variety that they can check out each and every single Wednesday night. Interesting spot that we saw with Brody Lee. So, in setting up his match, which was a decent match, I felt it should have been a bit of a shorter match. He had a match against QT Marshall. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a hot second. But we had a Brody Lee spot where Brody Lee is seen in a suit, great looking suit too, nice tie and everything, and it looks like he's eating some bomb ass food by Ruth Chris Steakhouse or something. I mean, he's got a nice big fat juicy porter steak and he's just cutting it up, nice little pieces and everything. And you got two of the other guys in the Dark Order. They don't have their mask on. You know, they're just sitting there and they're listening to him, and Brody is sounding like a boss from Goodfellas. He is sounding like a crime syndicate boss that is just deeply disappointed with how his minions have been operating so far with the task that they've been given. And you see this one poor guy in the Dark Order. There's only two of them, but you see this one guy. He's getting ready to dive into his steak, and he's got a nice big bowl of mac and cheese, and freaking Brody Lee is going, wait a minute. No. Daddy eats first. I didn't say you could eat. You wait until I'm done eating. Daddy eats first. So you're going, oh shit. Okay. And he actually chased him off. And he talked to the other guy. He said, you gotta get your man. You gotta talk to your man. It's like, nobody eats until I eat. So you're like, Okay, all right. Shit just got real here. Um, was it a knock to Vince McMahon? Yes. What we saw last week, nice little line that he said. Ooh, oh, who he said, oh man, oh, ooh, and then what you saw this week. And if you think that's something, for those of you that's going to be picking up Jim Ross's book next week, which you can check out if you guys want. Not sure how many of you guys got Audible, but if you don't have Audible, I am offering a Audible free trial. You can go to audibletrial.com/RCWR and you can get your free trial for 30 days. And Jim Ross's new book, Under the Black Hat, that's actually a book you can pre-order. Now here's what's cool. My Audible trial that I'm offering you guys, you pretty much can enjoy the Audible service for an entire month. Take your time, see what that one Audible book is you want to have, and that's yours to keep. And worst case scenario, if after the 30 days are up, you don't want to check out Audible anymore, that free Audible book that you downloaded, that's yours to keep forever. But they got really nice, cool perks. If you decide you want to, stay with them, it's like $14, $15 a month. Credits roll over, so eventually you can get, have it tally up enough. You can get yourself a couple of audiobooks. But I believe Jim Ross is narrating that book through Audible as well, because I see that's the new trend that's happening now too, is with some of those audiobooks available through Audible, it's like they got an exclusive deals with the authors where if you want to hear them in their own voice, you can only do it through Audible. But Jim Ross, his book is getting ready to come out. Young Buck's book also getting ready to come out. So maybe you're not into wrestling when it comes to reading material. They got all types of stuff, but utilize that link again, audibletrial.com/RCWR. Check it out. But I'm mentioning Jim Ross in the book in particular because I posted this on Twitter. I can't help but wonder how long it's going to take before we see that one part that Jim mentioned in Under the Black Hat, where he went into the office one day to talk to Vince about if he was going to be able to continue on as the color commentator. This was like just a couple of days after he called Rock taking on Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Vince was eating a sandwich. Now, what was really peculiar about the way Vince McMahon was eating this sandwich, he was almost kind of doing like that infamous Seinfeld episode where George Costanza's boss is eating a candy bar with a knife and fork or whatever. Or maybe that was Elaine's boss that kicked it off. It was either Elaine's boss. I think it was Elaine's boss that did it. And then by the time the episode ended, George's boss was doing it. But Vince was eating, like a traditional sandwich. Not, not no hot sandwich or anything like that. Just a regular, Mom, going to school. Oh, here, honey, here's your apple, here's your chips, here's your cold cut sandwich or whatever. He's eating one of those cold sandwiches, but he's eating it with a fork and knife. So I can't help but wonder how soon until we see more little stuff like that. Oh, but wait, we all know how much McMahon does not like people that sneeze. He does not like it when he sneezes. This is well documented. Something else that Jim Ross has talked upon over the years and everything. I remember the guy that was left thinking, okay, well, I'll be able to eat eventually. Brody just has to finish his meal first. He sneezes, and Brody is just flipping the fuck out. He's like he's having a fit. Chases the guy out of the room. He sits back down and he's eating his food. So you're going, okay, so we're making fun of Vince McMahon. I'm kind of reminded of the old TNA days when we would see different wrestlers that would come in and, they would be so mad. They'd be so mad at how they were misused in the WWE and it's like, oh, I get that. Okay, I get it. But here's the thing. How many people, this is real talk, real world, something's going on with a job that you don't like. You're not going to be cutting any promos or whatever. You're going to be quietly, okay, it's time for me to look for something else, and I just need to be done with these guys already. And then when you do find that new employer, you're not even thinking about that other company that you were working for. You know, unless it's a situation where they just really, really did you wrong. They were messing your money up or whatever, and you just are at a point where I gotta leave reviews for these guys on Glassdoor, on Yelp, wherever I can leave a review for these guys. I gotta be all over the place bashing the hell out of these guys, criticizing these guys. Most people, they're just, oh, okay, well, yeah, what's past is past. It's all about what I'm doing in the here and the now. So, you know, for some people, they use that as motivation to help fuel them and everything. I know this was something that was a big deal that I used to stay seeing in TNA, and I never was really a big fan of it. Seeing what Brody Lee is doing and everything, I'm sure to a certain degree, deep down inside, yeah, no bullshit, he probably is hurt at how he was utilized in the WWE and everything. But to take it to the point of where we're taking it right now, where we're basically spoofing off of Vince McMahon and everything, for me, it just feels totally so unnecessary. We saw what Brody Lee was capable of before he even came to the WWE, and it's okay, you know, be the bigger person here. You know, be the bigger person. You're better than that. You know, why are you resorting to the level of doing a poor man's copy of Vince McMahon, you know, just in order to. I'm sure that there are some people in AEW that feel as though, hey, you know, this will get people talking, especially on social media. Oh man, they're making fun of McMahon and all that other shit. But my whole thing is that's good for a couple of weeks. That might be good for a month, maybe 2 months, but long-term picture-wise, you know, what exactly are we doing here? You know, for me, I had no problem with seeing him in a suit and a tie. And I gotta tell you, when I first saw him in the suit and tie, I was thinking, oh, okay, so he's got this cult kind of mafia thing going on here. Okay, this is a nice demigod type of complex. Okay, I'm down with that. But then once you started doing the whole daddy's first, you sneeze, get the hell out of here. You know, once you started doing that, for me, it just kind of went, you know, I want to see this Exalted One go in a direction of when you have failed him, I want to see him fucking lose it. For me, if I could just play around with that character a little bit and just really, I would kind of have him borrow a page. If I had to borrow from anybody, that's what pro wrestling is in general. It's just borrowing from whatever's trending in pop culture and everything. I would have Brody Lee borrow a little something from what I feel is one of the most underrated actors of all time. Very underrated. Vincent D'Onofrio. I would like to see Brody borrow some elements from what D'Onofrio was doing on Daredevil's, on Netflix's Daredevil as the Kingpin. I would like to see this, you know, kind of calm, very, you trifle him, you fuck up in any type of way, and he just calmly just lets loose and he just destroys the living shit out of you. I would like to see something like that come about with him. As opposed to trying to rip off of Vince McMahon and everything. It's not needed, you know. And for me, there was that time where it seemed as though every time you turned around, there was always shots being taken at WWE, and then seeing as though it died down. You know, now it's, oh, okay, so now we're kind of opening that gate again. Now let's stay away from that. Now, I didn't forget the second part of what I was getting ready to say here. The match that Brody Lee had, his in-ring debut here against QT Marshall, he looked pretty blown up for me. You know, first 2 minutes, he's looking pretty good and everything, but then as the match continues, you know, you're seeing him breathe a little bit more heavy. And you're going, damn, Brody, what's going on? You're not really doing that much. Like, I mean, and look, physically, conditioning wise, he looks fucking phenomenal. But he looked as though he was kind of gassed out. I gotta say, he looked like he was gassed out. I didn't really like looking at that. To my point number two, should not have gone that long. That match against Brody, against QT Marshall, Brody Lee should not even have gone that freaking long. That should have been at most, after the entrances, that should have been at most a 2-minute match, and that's it. Plain and simple. 2-minute match, plain and simple. Yeah, the AAA Mega Championship match, Sammy Guevara taking on Kenny Omega. That actually was a pretty damn good match. I gotta tell you, I gotta give a lot of props to Sammy Guevara. He is winning me over. He is winning me over. I'm really enjoying him more than Kip Sabian. Look, I know there are some of you guys that are big Kip Sabian fans. Penelope Ford, hot as fuck. Yeah, she's got a future, no doubt about that. Kip Sabian, I'm just not seeing it. With Joey Janela, I could actually see it, but has his stock been hurt tremendously since he's been involved with AEW? Yes. Hell to the yes. Kip Sabian, I'm just not seeing it. Now look, I'm not knocking Kip Sabian, so please, Kip Sabian fans, don't take it the wrong way. I'm just not there yet. I don't see what you guys are seeing. I am not seeing any charisma. I'm not seeing any personality from him. So when I'm not seeing any of those things, then I have to go with, well, what's going on with him in the ring? And I'm not really, I'm just not seeing it just yet. Maybe I need to see him in a match against Sammy Guevara or something, but I'm just not seeing him right now. Now, I'd be more than happy to look up more of his matches, but from the last time I did it and what I've been seeing of him in AEW so far, I'm not impressed. So weird. But Sammy Guevara, his match with Kenny Omega tonight, good God almighty, for the AAA Mega Championship, these guys brought out an instant fucking classic. For me, that definitely was. If I had to go and single out a particular match, I'd say go out of your way, check out tonight. Sammy Guevara taking on Kenny Omega. That is the freaking match. Nice little touch of, to a degree, they kind of tease it a little bit, kind of a little touch of Lucha Libre there, but fast pace, technical, had some nice high flying spots in there and everything, but it was more technical. They did pretty good. They represented. Kenny Omega still has that title, by the way, but Sammy Guevara, yeah, man, I definitely see him being a bona fide future star. I'm not sure about a world heavyweight champion, but as far as a secondary champion, if that AAA Mega Championship is going to continue to be in the picture for AEW, sure, I can see him getting that title. Or if maybe New Japan can return the same gesture to AEW as AEW has been, oh yeah, you want to use some of our talents? Hey, here you go, help yourself. And New Japan, to this point, hasn't really been returning the same gesture. If we can kind of get to that point where they do, and you have Sammy Guevara maybe win one of the junior titles from New Japan, I'd be down with that. Or if you eventually want to go about an AEW TV title and you want Sammy Guevara as a champ, I'm down with that too. But yeah, I'm liking his stock. I'm telling you, I'm really, really coming around to that young man. I don't think there's really anything more we need to add to what went down with Matt Hardy and Chris Jericho, because we pretty much had talked about that off the break. But next week, we got some interesting matches that's going to be happening. I'm trying to think if we had got some teasers as far as what's going to be happening next week on Dynamite. I know NXT we did. It's Dynamite that I'm a little bit confused about. Let me actually see if I can pull that. Yeah. So it looks like, bear with me a second here. Let me see if there's any teasers for next week's Dynamite here, because I just want to check my notes, make sure I'm not missing anything. Nah, from my notes here, it doesn't look like they teased anything as far as what's going to be happening next week on Dynamite. But before I get ready to go off the air, I'll definitely give you guys a new update here. And that's hang on a second here, guys. Just trying to see if I can find you guys something. Yeah. I didn't see anything about what's going on next week. So, yeah, as a matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it, wasn't next week, or was it this week that was supposed to be Blood and Guts? I'm trying to recall. I know Blood and Guts had been, yeah, I think it was this week they were supposed to do Blood and Guts, but that got postponed because Tony Khan had put the statement out there. However, he said they were still going to be going on with the confrontation between Jericho, Matt Hardy, and everything. So, NXT tonight, they did phenomenally well. Like I told you guys at the top, they had 7 matches total. 7 matches. Pretty good. Austin Theory lost to Tyler Breeze. Austin Theory doing a lot of showboating. Kept going for the camera phone, taking pictures, talking trash at Tyler Breeze. Yeah, at one point it kind of seemed, hey, Austin's got this. Tyler Breeze coming in when it counted the most. Roll up, I think it was too, as a matter of fact. Killian Dane was in action. He defeated Mlw Fusion. I honestly didn't care for that match. I gotta be honest with you. That match did nothing for me whatsoever. Much like the Austin Theory taking on the Tyler Breeze match. You know, you kick your show off with both of those. You know, no disrespect to Austin Theory, and no disrespect to Killian Dane, but you know, it's no. Tyler Breeze, I'm sorry, hasn't done nothing for me. Never. Tyler Breeze has never done anything for me. Even when he was teaming up with Fandango, never did anything for me. Tetudi Mouse, he reminds me of a poor man's version of JTG and a poor man's version of Angelo Dawkins in Street Profits. I need to see a little more. I need to see a little more, but first impressions, like, I don't see myself racing to change the channel when a Tyler Breeze or the Duty Mouse is on. It's like, I'll watch something else. They kept the hits coming, though. Cameron Grimes taking on Tony Nese. Love Tony Nese. Great freaking look and everything. I actually tried to tolerate that match for Tony Nese there, but it's another one I really could not get into. Cameron Grimes, I remember him when he was Andrew Everett in TNA. I remember when Hurricane Shane Helms was acting as his mentor and everything, and I kind of saw a little something. Honestly, what he reminded me of, and I think one of the main reasons why I tried to tolerate Cameron Grimes over the years, is he reminds me of a long time fan of the show. I don't think he wrestles anymore, though. But he was definitely a friend of the show, Justin Reno. And Justin Reno, that guy was cool. We had him on the show numerous times. And I remember one of the ways we had first started talking, what really got the ball rolling, was Justin's involvement. I want to say it was the first TNA gut check, or maybe it was the second TNA gut check that went down. And we pretty much were friends since then. And he was real cool. Big supporter of the show. I remember one time he said, hey, or maybe it was me that approached him. It was so long ago, I can't really remember. But I'll say it was probably me that approached him. I said, hey, really appreciate you being on the show. Hey, for your wrestling events, would love it if, maybe you could somehow be our sponsor. We could definitely put you over and everything, any upcoming matches you got. And I remember we sent him a t-shirt. Man, you talk about the evolution of our logos too, by the way. Because this logo, and I got to see if I can dig it up one day, but this logo that we had, it was white and blue. We're talking 2000, we're talking like 2012, maybe 2013. I mean, we've been on the air since 2011, but I don't think we were using the logo. I'm thinking it was a white and blue logo, drastically different than what you guys see today and what we were pushing a year before. And there was a little microphone that was like right beside the logo. I gotta see if I can dig it up. If I can dig it up, I'll definitely share it on social media. And we had it on a gray t-shirt. And I just remember how excited I was that, oh man, you know, it's our first t-shirt. That actually was the very first show logo that we had produced. And I remember telling Justin about it, and Justin was like, yeah, I'll push it. Yeah, go ahead, give it to me and everything. And so, yeah, he pushed it. Sure enough, he pushed it. Some days he would go down to the ring wearing it. Other days his valet or manager would be wearing it and everything. And it was totally fucking cool. Totally fucking cool. And that's who Cameron Grimes reminds me of, though. When you type in Justin Marino and you kind of do a side-by-side comparison, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. You can kind of see the similarities and everything. But those are 3 matches I just talked about. I just told you. Just on the one hand, though, you're happy because you're going, well, at least it's in-ring action. And so for the talents that were on the card for NXT this week, I give them a lot of props because they were really doing their best to entertain. It's just for me, I just didn't particularly care for those respected talents, sadly. I wish I really could have. Now, for me, I started really, okay, you got my attention now. Aaliyah taking on Xia Li to qualify for a spot in the number 1 contenders NXT Women's Championship ladder match. And Xia Li, somebody pulled a Tanya Harding on freaking Xia Li. You see Xia Li in the backstage area, and she's holding on to her knee, and she's crying like a mofo. You're going, man, who went Tanya Harding on the homegirl here? What the hell's going on? So she could not do it. Aaliyah was hoping that she was going to be declared the winner. Loving everything that she saw that had happened. Remember, the last time we saw Aaliyah, freaking Xia Li actually broke her freaking my nose. You kind of got to pull a Brady Bunch there. So you're going, okay, so who did that to Xia Li? Who did that? Well, God, and it felt so SmackDown 2 Know Your Role. Remember that? Each time, no matter what happens in SmackDown 2, no matter how long you have been the champion, you get to that one part in the game. No matter how many times you load up the game, you're fucked. You get that one cutaway scene. You're backstage, you're minding your own business, and then somebody jumps you from the back. And then when you see who jumps you from the back, you go, oh, son of a bitch. And then next thing you know, the championship has been taken away from you. And you're like, oh, motherfuckers, like, I never lost it, though. It's like, nah, beat me in the ring. Some of it every time in SmackDown 2. Every time in SmackDown 2, you go, oh, come on, man. Like, all these months I spent as the champion, undefeated. What the hell, man? So, yeah, somebody went Tanya Harding, though, on freaking Xia Li. So, Aaliyah thinking maybe she was going to automatically advance. No, Moss. There was a replacement for Xia Li, and it was Io Shirai. We hadn't seen Io Shirai in a couple of months. Short match. Xia Li coming out of that on top. Your updated bracket at that point with Xia Li added. Chelsea Green, Tegan Knox, Mia Yim. That left and Io Shirai, so she's now in there. So now, at that point, you had 2 spots remain, but there was another match that had went down later on in the night. We saw Kaden Carter. Kaden Carter had took on Candice LeRae. Candice LeRae advanced. So now 1 spot remains. I got to tell you, now I will say this. I'm a big fan of Kaden Carter. I am a huge fan of hers, and I just can't help but wonder, when is enough? How many more of these opportunities are we going to keep giving to Candice LeRae? Look, I'm sure that she is an awesome human being. I see a little bit of the stuff that her and Johnny Gargano be doing on social media and everything. They seem like some really cool ass fucking people. But just because I say that, it doesn't mean you get a pass in my book from what I'm seeing on my TV every single week. And, there are some women, even if they're not going to be a NXT women's champion and all that, I just can't help but look at some women on the roster and say, okay, well, with all due respect, this person's had more than enough opportunities to be in these marquee spots. And yeah, they've been at the losing end and everything, but hey, when we switch up the game a little bit, when we try to maybe put in somebody new and, maybe go with somebody like, and I just can't help it in this case with a Kaden Carter. I can't help but wonder, when is she going to get those opportunities where she can really prove herself and show what she can do in a match, whether it be a triple threat, fatal four-way, women's ladder match, even if she's not scheduled to win, when is she just going to get those opportunities where, okay, all right, Tag, you're it. Go out there, hit a home run, see if you can do something. So I really hope, because I'm pretty big on her. I really, really am pretty big on her. I expect big things for her in the WWE, and I don't know, guys. My concern right now, normally WWE likes to do a little bit of spring clean and everything. I just kind of feel as though maybe she could possibly be on the chopping block. I hope not. I really, really hope not, because that'd be unfortunate. Talking segment with Damian Priest, Dijakovic, Keith Lee. That pretty much went down exactly how we had talked about a couple of weeks ago. If you guys recall, I had said, hey, Keith Lee didn't know that it was Damian Priest that had attacked him from behind. So he's probably going to try to apologize to Dijakovic. Remember that? But I said Dijakovic is probably not going to be having that. If you really wanted to sell it, my whole thing was let him sit out on injury for a couple of weeks. And sure enough, essentially that's what they did right here tonight. Dijakovic, regardless whether it was intentional or not, Keith Lee, the damage is done. You took food off the table. He kind of jeopardized my family and the roof over their head. He's like, nah, we ain't cool. So it was nice to see that friction in there. But then you got Damian Priest entering the mix and saying, hey, I know that in order to get the money, the fame, the women, the spoils, I need that title that's on your shoulder. So we saw a brawl that went down between all the men. Damian Priest pretty much coming out of that on top, if I remember it right. I was kind of doing a little bit of multitasking at that point. Adam Cole, baby, he had a talking segment. This was pre-produced. This was something that he did on his phone and basically sent the video to the guys in the production truck to clean up and everything, celebrating the fact that he's the longest reigning NXT champion. Also issued a warning to Velveteen Dream saying, dude, you thinking you can even be on my level? No, you're not on my level. You think you're going to get a shot at the NXT Championship? Not going to happen, let alone a shot at me. But since you're fixing to fight somebody in Undisputed, how about you fight my boy and Bobby Fish? So I'm assuming we're going to be getting that next week, because I didn't hear anything about next week, Velveteen Dream taking on. But we did hear a couple of matches that was supposed to be going down next week. I'm actually looking at my notes here. Oh, so that's what happened. Hang on here, guys. Hang on here. That's what happened here. So I found out what I had got for next week, but it was for neither show. It's actually for MLW. That's what I had got down for next week. Because remember, we said we are going to be talking about MLW as well. All right, so moving along here, Lorcan and Birch, they were in action against Shane Thorne. And I think it's Brendan Fink or Brendan Vink. That was actually a pretty good tag match. I did not see who finished out that match, though, because sadly I was getting ready to put the show together for you guys. Matt Riddle was in action. He was facing Roderick Strong. I only watched about half of that. That actually was a pretty solid, entertaining matchup. I would say go out of your way to watch that one. I did not see who won that one either, because usually the last 30 minutes for both shows, I'm usually in a position where, okay, who's been entertaining me more for the night? And I'll usually keep the remote there while I'm trying to get ready to put the show together and everything. And at that point, I pretty much was just locked in for the last 30 minutes on Dynamite. But Matt Riddle, from the little bit that I did see, Riddle and Roderick Strong, they did have a pretty good matchup. It actually went a couple of matches. Pete Dunne actually was not there due to the whole coronavirus and everything. You were kind of led to the impression he was self-quarantining himself. Now, we did have a talking segment to close out NXT this week between Triple H, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano. I did watch that in its entirety after Dynamite was over, and that was kind of cool how that played out. So basically, Triple H acknowledging to Tommaso and Gargano, I know exactly what you're going through. Me and Sean went through this many times over the years. Yeah, I get what's going on with you guys. I do. But one way or another, this will end. And it was cool how Gargano and Tommaso were playing off of each other. And I swear it was almost Tommaso Ciampa was Triple H. Gargano is the young, cocky Shawn Michaels and everything. And the stipulation that was put out there by Triple H was, you guys fighting, this is too big. This is too big for just one show. This is too big for just... And every time he was trying to get the ball rolling, they just kept interjecting, really, Gargano. So what's going to go down in 2 weeks, kind of find it convenient that in 2 weeks and all, but anyway, in 2 weeks, Triple H is going to find some building, some empty building. He's going to have a ring in there. And the two of them are going to, Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, that is, the two of them, they're going to duke it out. And basically, this is it. As far as Triple H is concerned, this is the be-all, end-all. This is it for the feud. Whoever wins, that is it. That is it. So, you're kind of going, well, all right, so that should be a pretty damn good matchup. And it was nice to hear Triple H say, hey, you guys have been going at this for quite a long time. I mean, we need to see this have the proper bookending. One of you guys definitely will continue on in NXT, and so you're kind of like, that's kind of interesting there. And as a matter of fact, let me just make sure that as far as a stipulation goes, and I got notes for what's going to be going down on next week's NXT, so just hang tight there. But yeah, let me actually jump to that last segment of the night, because I'm looking at some additional notes I had set up and talking about that final segment there. We had got one kick-ass. So that's who's behind those video packages. So hang tight, because I didn't forget about that either. All right, so yeah, Triple H, he pretty much said, be ready in 2 weeks. Heal up and everything. He's going to put a ring in an empty building. It's pretty much going to end right there. After it's done, they'll never touch each other again in NXT. And right as it seemed as though we were about to, all right, good episode. There's probably going to be a stare down, and Triple H is just looking at both guys, and we're going to go off that way. Lights were flickering, black, just pitch black, came back on. We go to the Titantron. Remember, the past couple of weeks, we have seen the thing with the crow and the clock and the tick-tock and all this other shit. Finally, we get a face to it, and it's the one, the only, my man, Killer Cross. And you're going, well, this is nice. This is nice. Okay, so we got Killer Cross. And you got Triple H. All three of them were looking at the Titantron, kind of like, what the fuck, as NXT went off that way. So, now you can't help but look at that, and you can't help but wonder, well, that's a bit odd that Killer Cross just right there. Is he going to have some type of a role in that Gargano chop up match? You can't help but kind of wonder that, because why else would you put that odd spot right there, unless it was just for the sole purpose of just going for the shock and awe, and because that's a lot to process for the viewer at home, because you're going, okay, so Tommaso, Johnny is finally going to end. All right, 2 weeks. Okay, great. But then you put Killer Cross in there as well. And I'm telling you, you're going to have people that are going to be a little bit confused now. And I don't blame them for being a little bit confused. But a very interesting show that they had put out tonight. The matches that they had for this week, it really was not anything special. But overall, there was a nice amount that they threw at the fans. They tried to give the fans a little bit of variety. They did do a good job in setting up some matches for next week and everything. Bringing back Io Shirai, that was awesome. They introduced Malcolm Bevins. Got Killer Cross in there as well. So remember, I was telling you guys about next week. So check this out. For next week's NXT, we got a triple threat match for the North American Championship. Keith Lee, Damian Priest, Dijakovic. Then you've got your second chance gauntlet match for the last spot in the number one contenders ladder match. So that's going to be good. And then you got Velveteen Dream taking on Bobby Fish. So 3 things that you guys get to look forward to checking out. Hey, let's go to the poll now. I want to know what you guys have thought about this week's NXT and AEW Dynamite. So like I said, we got 2 polls that's available right now. We got one on Twitter at the RCWR show. If you don't have Twitter, that's okay. Go to YouTube, click on the communities tab, cast your vote that way. Don't spam out. Just pick one. You don't need to use both. Just pick one, vote there. Let's go to Twitter first. For NXT, I'm seeing that you guys had said the following here. Where are we for NXT? Alright, so 79% of you are giving NXT a thumbs up for this week. Meanwhile, 21% of you are giving it a thumbs down. For AEW Dynamite, I'm seeing that 91% of you gave it a thumbs up. Meanwhile, 9% of you gave it a thumbs down. Let's go to YouTube. Let's see what's going on with the communities tab there. And there, we gave you guys a unique poll for you guys, which was basically, who did you think had the better show for this week? AEW or NXT? Votes still early, but according to you guys on YouTube, you all are saying right now with 100%, y'all felt AEW had the stronger product for this week. Keep the interactions going. Now, as far as the ratings go for this week, I'm going to say AEW wins again. I'm going to say they win again. And I've been pretty damn good with the numbers. So I am going to say, and I'm actually going to bust out my notepad here. I'm going to say for AEW, I will say they will do 867,000. For NXT, see, last week they did pretty much 500, right? So NXT, I'm going to say they'll do... NXT, I'll say they'll do 629,500. Yeah. So AEW, I'm going to say 867,000. NXT, I'm going with 629,500,000. Yeah, that's how I'm looking at it for the views for this week. Hey, I want to give a shout out to some of our Patreon members. Patreon.com/RCWR show. Be kind and be a Patreon member for as little as $5 a month. You guys can check out bonus audio and video content, great majority of which you won't be able to find anywhere else. Check it out. Patreon.com/RCWR show. Shout out to Freddie R. Freddie. Shout out to Sean Kenter, John Krauser, Justin Ripstock, Michael Wolf, John Davis. Also, I want to give a shout out to Screaming Bullseye 1. Make sure you put in the actual number 1. He's on Twitter. He makes really cool wrestling busts. Also, I want to give a shout out to the good folks over at Chairshot Tees. Your man finally got his shirt. I know if you guys had noticed it. For you guys that's only going to be listening to the audio version, you kind of shit out of luck. You got to check out the webcast version. But for you guys that's watching the webcast version, here's the shirt from Chairshot Tees. It is my Jake Roberts shirt. Pretty badass. Let me zoom in a little bit here. Let you guys get a good look at that. Is that a cool shirt or is that a cool shirt? I mean, we are talking top-notch freaking quality right here, man. I mean, freaking badass. Freaking badass. They did a really good job with the shirt. I'm very happy. I got it in the mail on Monday, and I said, oh, shit, the timing is perfect because doing a new show Wednesday night, so that is great. I'm very satisfied, though. I mean, the material, everything is really good. First shirt I've gotten from Chairshot Tees, and I'm definitely going to be coming back again and again. So I highly recommend, if you're looking for some really cool merchandise, represent and check them out. Chairshottees.com, and that's brought to you in part by my man Shaheen from Nuclear Heat Graphics. He has definitely been affected in a tremendous way with everything that's going on with COVID-19, right down to the point. And I know he shared this openly, so I'm not putting anything too personal that's out there. But he had some flooding problems with his home, and he did his part. He cleaned up the mess and everything, tried to call homeowners insurance, get them to come out and make the necessary repairs and everything. And long story short, because of what's going on with COVID-19, they were not trying to come out. And so he desperately had to, unfortunately, go with some independent contractors, kind of one of those Angie's List type of deals, or, look in a classified section on a website or something like that. So he's probably paying a lot more, I'm sure he would definitely appreciate the business. That's the point that I'm making. If you're able to, great. If not, share the link all throughout social media. I'm sure those guys would greatly appreciate it. But they got cool ass shit, man. They got stuff from Road Warriors, Bruiser Brody, The Original Sheik, Terry Funk, The Headhunters. Check it out. Sabu. Check it out. Some really good stuff that's on there. Chairshottees.com. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys as always. Couple of little wrestling little tidbits that we can get into. First off, MLW Fusion. I did see the episode that they had dropped from this past weekend. Some quick notes. Zenji was in action and had faced El Lindaman. El Lindaman actually had picked up the W, if I remember it right. Zenji, I really like me some Zenji. He kind of reminds me a little bit like Ricochet to a certain degree. And I remember there was an episode of Fusion from a couple of weeks ago where Zenji was talking, and I forgot who ruffled his feathers the wrong way. But, when I heard him speak, he kind of had a little bit of Ricochet to him, but he had more swag. And I couldn't help but go, man, I can we just get Ricochet back in the mask already? This is all I kept saying to myself. Can we get him in the mask already? Richard Holiday was in action. He took on a mystery man as Mace Warner. Remember, he had got jumped at the end of last week's Fusion. He was at the pay booth. He was trying to get his money and everything. He was trying to get paid, and he got jumped by MJF and a couple other guys from the Dynasty and everything. So Mace Warner, he was not in action this past week. However, he had a friend come into his place to face Richard Holiday. That would be Blue Meanie. Freaking Blue Meanie. I mean, Blue Meanie looks like this guy has not aged worth a damn. still has the same amount of weight, still moves the same, everything. Blue Meaning is still, I'm just amazed. I am just amazed. What was even more amazing though, and I had shared this image on social media, was, and it's going to be funny to see how many people actually know what I'm talking about versus how many people will go out of their way, listen to this week's show that I'm doing, and go, oh, so that's who he's talking about. But I'm more curious about how many people will actually put two and two together. So I shared this image, and I said, wow, I can't believe after all these years, this guy is still going to wrestling events. That shows how dedicated he is to pro wrestling. And you usually know, if you've been watching wrestling for at least 20 years or more, you know the regulars. You know the regulars. You know the green t-shirt guy with the lime green hat. You know the squared circle guy that wears his shirt. You know about the long-haired white guy that's, I don't know if that's his mom or if that's his sugar mama. I don't know what's going on, but you see him. Of course, you got Shocking Undertaker guy. He still makes his appearances. You've got the white guy that's really tall. He kind of looks like a tall, heavier version of Nick Wright from First Things First on FS1. He always wears the trademark WWE logo blazer. It's a white blazer, and he's got the Raw, he's got the SmackDown, he's got the NXT, he's got WrestleMania, he's got all the freaking WWE logos on this white blazer. And there was, you can go as far back as to the vintage Attitude Era days of WWE. You can go back to the awesome WCW days when it was the Monday Night War. You can definitely go back to the ECW days. But there was this guy, white guy, long black hair. It was kind of puffy nappy like, and he would always wear black shades. And all these freaking years later, the guy is still running around and he's going to wrestling shows. And I just thought it was badass. And you can see him on this past week's MLW, and you couldn't help but go, oh shit. And I'm like, damn, this guy hasn't really aged. I'm like, that's fucking phenomenal. And what was the shirt he was wearing? He was wearing a white long sleeve shirt, center of the chest, WCW Thunder. And it's like, holy shit, this dude is vintage. I mean, so the stories that guy could probably tell, I wonder, first of all, what's his name? And I wonder if he's made his rounds doing podcasts, because that's a guy I would love to get him on the show. See, it's not always about the big names. Sometimes it's just about a wrestling fan like him that has seen and experienced a lot, to be able to pick his brain and what he thinks about what's going on with some of these promotions, what's really got him talking, what's got him excited, you know, what's some talents and promotions that he thinks people should be checking out that not a lot of people are hip to just yet, but maybe will be in the coming years. That's a guy I wouldn't mind talking to. But in case you missed it, Blue Meaning, he did lose to Richard Holiday. Richard Holiday, though, by the way, you know, just looking at the guys from the Dynasty, the guy that I can't think of his name right now, but he could have either went with Conan, but he didn't. He decided he was going to go with the Dynasty. I guess they're trying to make him be like this fake ass Eddie Guerrero 2.0 or Angel Garza 2.0 or whatever. But he does nothing for me. Richard Holiday, he's got a unique look. I will say that, but I need his character to be flushed out more, because I'm just not seeing it. And I couldn't help but think to myself, you know who would be great for the Dynasty? When his contract comes up and he decides, you know what, I'm good, money's nice, but it's just not worth it, I want to be properly utilized. I really think that a guy like EC3 in the Dynasty, I think it's like a fucking glove. I think it's a match made in heaven. I don't know how current he is on what's going on over there in MLW, but I think he would do phenomenally well over there. It just screams, yeah, EC3 would fit right on in there. See what else. And then we had a situation later on during MLW Fusion where Mance Warner issued a challenge to MJF. Challenged him to a loser leaves MLW empty arena match. So that should be pretty badass. That's going to be going down. Also, next week on MLW, we're going to be seeing King Mo. King Mo will be in action as he's going to be taking on Low Key. That should be pretty good. And representing King Mo, being his mouthpiece or whatever, is the same guy that was the mouthpiece for Bobby Lashley during his last hoorah in Impact Wrestling. Is it Dan Lambert, guys? I'm a little vague right now, but I had his name because I go, oh, easy name for me to remember. I can remember that. And I was like, I felt so confident. Like, I don't need to write that down. I'm so fucking confident. And now I'm thinking, surely it was Dan Lambert. And it is Dan Lambert, by the way. It is Dan Lambert. I'm 99.9% certain that it's Dan Lambert. So Dan Lambert is now the mouthpiece for King Mo. He seemed okay when he was with Lashley and Impact Wrestling, but honestly, he didn't do anything that really, oh wow, he's a great shit talker. Oh wow, he was just there. He wasn't anything significant that he did for me when he was with Lashley, but yeah, this go round he's with King Mo. Also, you got Brian Pillman Jr. He's going to be taking on the Injustices, Jordan Oliver. So that should be pretty good as well. There was a main event match of the night. It was Filthy, Team Filthy, led by Tom Lawler, that were taking on Killer Cross. Oh, God, who else was in there? It was Killer Cross, Davey Boy Smith Jr., I think the Von Erichs were in there as well. I do remember the team of Killer Cross. They did win, but the action had spilled into the backstage area, and everybody was just brawling. King Mo got up in there. He got him some. Looks like he's aligned with Team Filthy, as the show pretty much ended with him stoked at what he did to freaking Team Killer Cross and everything. So you're kind of looking at that. And see, here's the problem that I have with that. As cool as everything was that we had saw, how many episodes was MLW able to tape while they still had access to Killer Cross and Filthy Tom Lawler? Because, these guys are now with WWE. So, how many episodes did you get out of these guys is my question. And I think there's only but so much you're going to be able to do before you need to explain, hey, these guys are no longer in MLW. Delicate situation. That's a delicate situation. But I was enjoying that for what it was worth, man. Oh, wait a minute. Before I even get off the topic of MLW, they had a La Parka segment that was hilarious as hell, and I just lost my shit. So, for about 7 minutes, La Parka and, hello, Parker. Don't ask me to spell that. But the two Parkers, father and son, they're kicking back. And they're showing us how they, as a tag team, are the real deal. How they're real men. And anybody that steps up to them, they're a joke. They're going to find out what it's like to face them in the ring and all that. And remember, it's a new cooking show that they're giving us. So on this installment, they're making eggs and sausage. Okay, so they ain't even using butter. First of all, they're freaking using Crisco oil or whatever the fuck, Wesson oil or whatever the fuck it is. They're pouring that in one skillet, and they look like they got these nice mild or hot Italian sausages. They got one that's cooking. You go to the other skillet, and he puts in that same nasty ass oil. And I'm just looking, I'm going, nah, man, get some country crock butter, get some Imperial. Yo, come on, man. Get some real butter for them eggs. You gotta put some flavor in them, man. It's gonna be bland as fuck if you're just using Wesson oil, man. Like, what the hell? Or Crisco, and he's just cooking the eggs, 2 eggs. He's cooking them, and he keeps repeating himself over and over again, and it was hilarious as hell. He was like, "The sausage." Yeah, of course, he's speaking his own language, where we see the English subtitle. He's like, "The sausage. We're cooking the sausage. They're cooking the eggs. We're gonna show you how to cook the sausage. We're gonna show you how to cook the eggs." And they're cooking a little bit. "We're gonna show you how to cook the sausage, and we're gonna show you how to cook the eggs." Like, okay, you're doing that now. Say something else. "We're cooking the sausage and we're cooking the eggs." Like, okay, really, we got it. We don't need you to say that anymore because it's starting to sound very redundant here. And then he's like, "We're the best tag team champions in the world. We're real tag champions. We're gonna put our sausage down your throat." And you're like, what? Like, what? The funniest shit I saw is like 7 minutes that you wasted for nothing because they end up just repeating themselves over and over again. And finally, they're just silent for a little bit. And then I guess dude has something new to say because he goes, "What are these people thinking? They want me to cook all this stuff and they don't even give me a chopping board so I can chop my onions and my other vegetables." And so he also was like, "They don't give me a chopping board so I can chop my meat." And I'm like, whoa, like, dude, you don't want to chop your meat, man. Like, and so you see freaking Laparca, he's chopping the meat while it's in the skillet still cooking, and his son is trying to help him transfer it into the skillet and everything. And finally, he just flips the fuck out, and he goes, "What's wrong with these people? They don't have common sense to leave me seasoning so I can season my food up." And I'm thinking, bro, you got hot sauce right there. But yeah, 7 minutes of what the fuck did I just watch? It was funny though. I gotta say, it was quirky. It was funny. I liked it. I actually do want to see more of it. I just need to see better pacing rather than have redundancy and what they were putting out there. But I laughed hysterically when they kept saying, "You see the sausage? You see the eggs? We're going to put this sausage down your throat. We're going to put it in your mouth." Like, okay, we're going to put these eggs in you too. Like, okay, it sounds kind of erotic, dude. Seriously. Wait up now. A little too explicit there. So don't really need to talk about WrestleMania, because me and Tammy, we did do Wrestling with the Topics. We talked about the fact that WrestleMania is still on and everything, so you guys can go back, you can check that out. WWE, I guess it's maybe this week or maybe it's next week. They're supposed to be taping WrestleMania. Now, that intrigues me a little bit because I'm most curious how they're going to go about filming for WrestleMania on those 2 days. Are they essentially going to get all of the Raw matches out of the way, and is day 1 going to be a case where all you're going to see is nothing but Raw matches and day 2 is SmackDown matches? Or, are you going to have both rosters there and you're just going to tape what you're going to tape for day 1 and day 2 and then just kind of do a little bit of a mix that way? And I'm most curious how they're going to be doing it. But WWE, by them pre-taping, they're in a really cool, unique situation where they can have everything be executed just right. Right down to the point where if there is a problem with the match, the execution, the energy of it, be it it's not really radiating off of the cameras to the people at home that's watching on their TVs, Vince and crew are in a really good position where they can say, "We need to do that over. That match it just executed poorly. We need to do it all over. Let's start from scratch." So this is a really good opportunity that WWE has right here without the fans being in attendance. So here's a unique opportunity here where they can get this just right. The Undertaker taking on AJ Styles in a boneyard match, basically a graveyard match. That should be fucking awesome. They have a unique opportunity where they can do a lot of pre-production stuff. They can do some smoke and they can do all kinds of really cool shit with that. And I really hope they do, because you got Edge taking on Randy Orton. That really needs to be a brawl type of deal. But the AJ Styles Undertaker, that's a unique situation, because you can actually go in a not necessarily a Randy Orton, not necessarily a Randy Orton. No, I'm not. Yeah, I was thinking it correctly. Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, Hardy Compound. This is a great opportunity from a pre-production that WWE, for them to not, with that match in particular, that'd be a disappointment. That would be a huge disappointment. So some of those matches that they're going to be taping, it's just kind of thinking about the card right now. I think off the break, Undertaker, AJ Styles, I think that match for sure is going to have a lot of people talking in the most positive way possible. Definitely Edge taking on Orton. That's going to have people talking as well. I think it really sucks that Edge is returning and there's just no crowd reaction. There's no fans in attendance right now. I think the timing is just, and right down to the point, I really don't see anybody else bringing this up right now. But I want to say this to you guys. With regards to Edge, do not be surprised if after Edge gets his W at WrestleMania. Remember, we talked about this some weeks ago, and I even said weeks ago, look for Beth Phoenix to get involved. You think after that RKO she took at the hands of Orton, she's not going to somehow extract revenge? She's going to get her revenge. But don't be surprised if Edge basically backs out. When I say back out, I just mean in storyline. Don't be surprised if after Edge gets the win at Mania, that's it. I think right now, the smartest thing to do until this whole outbreak situation is resolved officially, guys like Edge, put him back on the back burner, let him recover, enjoy his time with his woman and his kids. And when you're back in a situation where, okay, we can now have fans again, that's when you go on ahead, pull the trigger, and bring him back. The Drew McIntyre, Brock Lesnar, that intrigues me. That intrigues me a lot because, Drew's been giving a lot of praise to Brock Lesnar, how Brock's basically been taking him under his wing and really breaking him in and everything. That match, I can't help but wonder how that's going to play out given the circumstances. I was more so than convinced McIntyre was going to get the title. Now, with everything that's come about, I'm not really so sure now. So I'm a little rattled with that one. But it should be fun. It should be fun. My whole thing is with, and see, here's the other thing that's really cool. With WWE doing what they're doing, with it being pre-taped and everything, here's a case where you have to do like Kiefer Sutherland in 24 and make everybody sign a you can't spill the beans. Don't tell anybody what's happened. It used to be a time where Walking Dead was like that as well, but eventually shit started getting spoiled and you're like, this could make or break WWE. It really could. So if there was ever a time to really have a gag order in place of no leaks whatsoever, you really got to put some type of documentation out there, because I'm telling you, you're still going to have people that are going to be most curious what happened at WrestleMania, but the better you can put a lid on any leaks, try to prevent leaks from going down, the better. The better. We all have seen it in the past. Those of you that are long-time listeners, used to be times where we would see weeks in advance what was going to be happening with Impact Wrestling, and you're like, okay, so I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to watch it on this day. We're good. Yeah, I already know what's going to happen. I don't care about that episode. So hopefully things are going to be zip it, silence. So we had the Vice premiere of Dark Side of the Ring Season 2 featuring Chris Benoit. Good shit. I'm going to tell you guys this right now. and I'm a little bit disappointed because I won't mention any names, but you all know that there was definitely one particular website, that wrestling website, I said I'll never work with them again. Like, fuck that. But there's been a couple of times now where I've passed some wrestling news articles to a couple of other sites that were, very kind to me and my buddies in the podcasting world in the past, and I had tried to let them know about the interview that we had with Dark Side of the Ring's producer, Evan Housney. And for whatever respected reasons, they did not pick up on the interview. Yeah, even if it was a case where there wasn't just enough substance for them, I would have appreciated if they at least had contacted me and said, hey, we did get it. It's just, and I would have totally understood it. But despite the fact that no website, as far as I'm aware of, has picked up on our interview with Evan, the interview I'm seeing on demand via YouTube, on the downloads, because we made the audio version available, I think, just the other day. People are going out of their way. They are checking it out. So I like the fact that the interview is, picking up some steam and everything. So for those of you that had checked it out, I humbly appreciate it. I gotta tell you, though, I was a little bit disappointed with the audio, if I can be real, because I always try to be as transparent as possible with you guys. I had no control over the audio for how Evan was sounding, because initially when we got granted the interview with him, we were told, okay, so what number is he going to be calling? And I actually gave Evan and his people my cell phone. And then before, like the day before, pulled a new Audible, and I had called into some number, entered this passcode, and it was kind of like, okay. And whatever he was using to call in, you guys could hear, I tried to clean it up as best as I could. And it was just, it was a little frustrating. It wasn't like that the last time for the lost interview, because the last time that we had him, he actually was at home. But I think this was a case where he was on the road or what have you. I don't think he was driving or anything like that. I think it was just a case where, long story short, the audio connection at his end, it was just bad. So I was a little bit heartbroken about that, because it was, oh man, I got the new mixer, I got the new audio quality, and people can just call my phone and I can connect them through the mixer, and everything is recorded perfectly and nicely, and it's so I don't know. I think in 2020, I think what I'm probably gonna end up doing from here on now, I think whenever we do get guests on the show, and if it's not that big of a deal to their agent or the network or whatever, I think we're gonna, from here on now, stress to them that, hey, we would really prefer it if they could call from an area where they got a strong signal, and we want to make sure we have great clarity, blah 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 blah. Because in this day and age that we're in right now, especially with the outbreak, you look at some of your favorite TV shows that's running around. You look at shows like Talking Dead, or you look at, hell, Undisputed, or First Things First. Everybody is now going into, okay, well, we got to do this self-quarantine shit, but we got access to webcams, Google Hangout and YouTube and Skype. This shit's been around for years. We're just now starting to utilize, but you see that they're now utilizing it to do their shows and everything. So hopefully, going forward with everything that's just been going on, and just to have a regular rotation, a regular norm, hopefully we can have a guest that can definitely be understanding about, hey, we're just trying to make sure that they sound pretty on point, audio quality wise, because honestly, less editing I have to do, the better. Seriously, the better. See if just some other topics I want to get into before we get ready to wrap it up here. For you Star Trek buffs, I want to pass along this info. Patrick Stewart has revealed that CBS All Access free month offer. Yeah, there is a CBS All Access free month offer that you can take advantage of right now, so you can watch Patrick Stewart in Star Trek Picard. So that is essentially what I have been waiting for a good minute now, and I'm looking forward to it. So check this out. The season finale is happening, looks like this Thursday, but starting today, right now, until April 23rd, you got a whole month free of CBS All Access. Use the code GIFT, like you're giving a gift to somebody, not GIF, not GIF. I'm like the real gift that ends with a T, GIFT. Use that code, and you're welcome. Also, for you guys that were fans of the hit series on Epix, Godfather of Harlem, starring Forrest Whitaker, that was greenlighted for a second season. When they're going to begin production, who knows? Because we got this whole outbreak going on right now. But a second season is coming. That's going to consist of 10 episodes. So if you guys haven't got hip to Godfather of Harlem on Epix, check it out. Because on top of Forrest Whitaker being in there, you also got, who else is in there? Vincent D'Onofrio. He's on there as well. I'm pretty damn sure Giancarlo Esposito is on there as well. So some great shit that you guys can check out. So peep those out when you guys get a minute. And let me see, what else? Access TV, they have announced a TNA special. I'm not sure how many of y'all were aware of this, but there's going to be a TNA special on March 31st. It's a one night only total nonstop action special edition of Impact Wrestling. It's going to be featuring TNA legends Scott Steiner, Hernandez, Kid Cash, Chase Stevens, and more. So check that out. That's actually going to be pretty good. You guys want a little bit of TV variety there. And other than that, I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that's coming to mind right now that we can talk about. I think that's it, honestly, guys. We did about an hour, 41 minutes. It's relatively been quiet since last we were on the air with you guys. And given everything that's going on with the outbreak, there's really not that much you can, really get into and everything. I did see SmackDown from last week. I saw Rob Gronkowski. I'll say this about Rob Gronkowski. Watched him for many years playing with the Patriots. I understand how some people feel, man, he's kind of rubbing me the wrong way. He doesn't rub me in a go away heat type of way. He rubs me in a, I think he has no business being here. I get that. What I can comment on strictly as a football fan, and I've been a football fan for almost 30 years. Watched a big bulk of Patriot games. Rob Gronkowski is a laid-back, fun, energetic guy. He is the type of guy you definitely, you see him walking down the street and, hey, it's, he is approachable. I've heard some good things about him from people that have had the opportunity to interact with him, talk to him for several minutes. He's a cool fucking dude. Be that as it may, you might be a cool fucking dude, but what's going on with you in the ring? I don't think it was a smart move to have him be aligned with Mojo Rawley, because after all, Mojo Rawley's stock has gone down tremendously since he initially joined the WWE. And I think even he would tell you, I'm still trying to find my footing in the WWE. I'm sure if you spoke to him away from the cameras and the microphones, off the record, I'm sure he would, I'm still trying to find myself here. Just when I think I'm coming along. So I don't think it's really a smart move that they've got Rob Gronkowski linked to Mojo. I don't think that's a smart move. But as far as personalities go, as far as people that, WrestleMania hosts, he's good. He's going to be good for that role. I think let's just wait and see what he can do from a wrestling standpoint. If he has in fact signed a contract where he's going to be doing more than just hosting events, he's actually going to be getting physical, then we need to see what he's going to be able to do. And if it's a case where he just has a limited 3-move set, I mean, we saw how well that worked out for John Cena and everything, but if he has a extremely limited move set and he's showing that he really does not have the passion and drive to really want to succeed being a wrestler, then he's going to get eaten alive when it's all said and done. So Rob Gronkowski, that's a story that we're going to all just have to kick back and pay attention to more closely. But I can tell you this much, he's lost a lot of bulk since he's retired from the Patriots. Rob used to be a really thick dude, not muscular in a freakish type of way, but he used to be a big bulky dude, and he's traded that for a more smaller, very cardio version. So I'm curious to see where he is going to be in about 6 months from now, how quick he's going to be able to adapt to being an in-ring performer, if he has in fact, as part of this deal with the WWE, if he is going to be getting in the ring. But I get where you guys are coming from that feel a particular way when you're seeing Rob right now. Maybe that's a good thing, but the fact that he's got you guys talking and y'all are reacting to him kind of negatively, maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. But chill is my message to you guys. Just chill. And see, other than that, unless there's some other stuff we really should be getting into here on the show, I'm gonna say that this is pretty much done. I'll tell you what, I'll leave you with this, and then we're definitely done. There's a report floating around, and I really hope that it's not true, but there's a report floating around. PW Insider is the one that got the ball off and running. They're reporting that Hulk Hogan was set to have a meet and greet at Hogan's Beach Shop in Tampa during WrestleMania week, but it was canceled due to the pandemic that's going on. The meet and greet cost $175, but those who have asked for refunds have been told the event is just postponed and they can use their tickets later. The store has also offered signed t-shirts and bandanas, which they claim is $250 worth of merchandise with free shipping. They are not, I repeat, not, however, offering refunds. Now, hopefully this changes, but I don't think people should really be that upset at what's going on right here with Hogan. This is a practice that is no different. For example, I'm not saying it makes it any better, but for example, when me and Tammy had wanted to postpone our wedding due to the coronavirus, and we wanted to try to see if we can just reschedule for the fall, one of the first things we did, we got in contact with the wedding planners, and the wedding planners had said, yeah, our phones have been off the hook. People have been wanting to postpone left and right. It's really no problem. So we were not refunded the substantial amount of money that we put towards our wedding, but instead, they still have that money, and it's a case of, okay, well, when everything calms down, then we're going to go on ahead and, okay, so what looks realistic here? That's, so a lot of companies are kind of doing that. So, Hogan and his people are basically saying, no, it's not canceled. That's the right. If they're saying, no, nobody's getting a refund because this event is just postponed, we're just going to forward it to the next date that you guys then, I really think that one would have to really push the issue of getting a refund, and then at that, it's basically a case of, well, what are you going to do? So, I mean, I don't think anybody is going to be asked out of their money, but you got options there. They basically said they're postponing it. You can still use your tickets. They're offering signed t-shirts and bandanas. And the whole thing about worth $250 worth of merchandise, you're being offered signed t-shirts and bandanas. Now, see, that's where I have a little bit of an issue. That's where I'm a little bit confused, and I'll tell you the reason why I'm a little bit confused at that. Because I know for a fact, because I still got it in the closet, the Hulk Hogan signed poster that Tammy got for me a couple of Christmases ago. I think it was 2 years ago that she had got it for me. I believe she told me that poster had ran her either $200 or $300. And as a matter of fact, I tell you what, hang on. It's a beautiful part I like about doing this show. Beautiful part I like doing about this show is we are connected to my cell phone. So I can easily, if I want to make a call, I can easily, in this case, I can bring her in and find out how much that costs.
Hello.
Hey, hon, you live on the air. I'm talking about Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
How much was that poster you got for me 2 Christmases
over
ago?
$300.
It was over $300. I thought it was $200. It's over $300.
Nope. It was over $300.
Okay, well, I still got you on the air. Let me run this story by you, and you can tell me what you think 2 cents from a distance here. So I was telling the folks that according to a report by PW Insider, they're reporting that Hulk Hogan was set to have a meet and greet at Hogan's Beach Shop in Tampa during WrestleMania week, but it was canceled due to the coronavirus. So the meet and greet cost $175, but those who asked for refunds were told the event is just postponed and they can get their tickets later. Now, this sounds like I just told the listeners, this is no different than what we tried to go through with the wedding planners. We're like, hey, we just want to, postpone, get a new date. And they're like, yeah, no problem. We can do that. So they still got our money. We just need to sit down, figure out a new date. Now, here's where this story gets a little weird. Hogan's store is offering signed t-shirts and bandanas, which they claim is worth $250 worth of merchandise with free shipping. I don't want to.
That don't sound right.
Okay, I thought so. Okay, so it sounds like bullshit. That's why I'm like, so wait a minute. So if a signed poster by Hogan is $300. And they're talking about signed T-shirts and bandanas.
Well, that poster is at least a 11 by 14.
Right.
I mean, but it does sound really odd if you're going to get, 2 things versus one, and it's going to be that amount.
Yeah.
For $50 less.
Right.
I don't know about that.
Let's talk about quantity real quick. What would you expect? How many would you expect for $250 if they're offering you T-shirts and bandanas? Signed by Hogan.
I would say it would be. I'd say it'd be like a box, not just one shirt and one. I mean, unless they're both signed with maybe some extra merch.
They would be signed. If you wanted shirts and bandanas, they would both be signed apparently by the Hulkster.
Mm-hmm.
So how many you think of each would it take to make up being worth $250?
Well, that just depends on what he's got on his site. That essentially is that, because I think, but of course that was 2 years ago.
See, it's
been just about 2 years ago. So, I mean, costs could have went up, but I remember some of his photos being, anywhere from 75 to 2, and those were the 8x10s.
Just for 8x10s?
It was definitely 75.
Wow.
To start.
Okay. So in your estimation, even if it was a case where let's just say Hogan goes, I will give you 3 bandanas signed, and I'll give you 3 T-shirts signed, and basically it's worth $250. That's $250 worth of merchandise.
3 or 8?
I said 3. If I were to give you 3 signed Hogan T-shirts and 3 signed bandanas,
then yeah, it would be worth it.
For
$250.
For $250, that'd be worth it.
Yeah.
Now, if I were to just give you 1 shirt and 1 bandana, and I'm saying it's worth $250.
I wouldn't come out of my pocket and pay for it now.
Okay.
Not right now.
Okay. But let's say you already gave Hogan your $175 for the meet and greet, and he's saying you can't get the refund because it's just been postponed. But if you like,
but for extra $75, I can. Oh no.
Well, let's play devil's advocate. Let's say he's not trying to get more money out of your pocket. Let's just say to make up for him having your $175, because he doesn't want to give that back, he's willing to give you a T-shirt and a bandana that he claims is worth $250.
If I didn't have to come out of my pocket, possibly, yeah.
That's what they're claiming. That's what they're claiming with free shipping.
Oh, okay. So basically, it's just okay. 9 times out of 10, most people are coming to meet him and get some signatures anyway.
Right.
So they probably would go for that.
Right. See, it's kind of tricky because and that's my message to everybody. Like, I hope those of you are not caught up in this, because the question then becomes, well, what exactly would I be getting quantity wise that is supposed to be worth $250? But to your point, some people were really looking forward to the meet and greet, so it's a delicate situation.
Right, and that's why they're paying the $250.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean,
well, no. They were paying the $175. The $175. The $175 is just the meet and greet. But apparently, the way it's looking, Hogan's not trying to give back the $150. Instead, he's basically going, "Hey, brother, I don't want to give you that money back. You can come at a later date to the shop for your meet and greet. But if you insist on not even doing that, brother, I'll give you $250 worth of merch."
It damn well better be signed if it's $250 worth of merchandise.
It is signed.
Okay.
It's signed.
I mean, essentially, basically he's trying to do everything he can not to give that money back.
Exactly. That's the point I'm making.
So, yeah. I mean, can you blame him?
I can't blame
him. But
nigga got to eat.
If he's going to do that, he's going to have to make it worth their while. And it sounds like what you just said to me is they essentially are going to have to, obviously let them meet and greet. Maybe if they had like a card that was sent to them, letting them know that, yes, at one point they were listed as a meet and greet.
Right.
And then they can stop by the shop.
Right.
Anytime and essentially get that meet and greet photo out and all that other stuff.
Exactly.
Then with that, plus what they were getting, it would be worth it.
It sounds tricky.
As far as the merch,
yeah, it sounds tricky. I think it just depends on what you're getting as far as that merch goes. I mean, if it's a vintage, like for me, if it's a vintage Hulkamania shirt, the traditional logo that he was pushing in the 80s, right. or like what he was pushing like around the first 3 WrestleManias, or maybe he's gonna hook you up with the Thunder Lips joint that he was pushing in Rocky.
There you go.
Yeah, what was that? Rocky 3. Unless he's doing something like that and he's signing it, just that one-off shirt, and then you're getting like a old school, Hulkamania bandana. I think that's if he's saying it's worth $250, and that's essentially making up
and
for
signed, yeah, then it would be worth that.
right. But if it's more modern Hogan stuff, like Hawk Steel Rules, that's like more recent. I don't think
Right.
that would really warrant. Nah, I think I'm gonna just wait out on the meet and greet, the new date versus, right. Yeah, yeah. All right, so well, thank you for that. I just wanted to pick your brain. I'm almost done with the show. I just gotta close out, get a couple of programming notes, and I'll come in the other room. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you, hon.
All right,
Love you.
bye.
All right.
Sure.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye. All right. So interesting, right? Interesting. All right. So CZW, they're going to be airing a pay-per-view with matches from Kevin Owens' run there when he worked under his real name, Kevin Steen. Looks like that's going to include Steen taking on DJ Hyde, Kevin Steen and El Generico taking on Excalibur and Super Dragon, and Kevin Steen taking on Nate Spider Webb. So check that out again. CZW. They're going to be airing a pay-per-view with pretty much nothing but Kevin Steen matches. So check that out when you guys get an opportunity. And other than that, that's it. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say, we did good. Solid show for this week. I will keep you guys alert on what's going to be happening with the show in a couple of weeks. The way I've got my work schedule set up with the new job, they pretty much know that, hey, I do a lot of audio editing, video editing for clients and stuff. I also got my responsibilities with the podcast, so very flexible with me. They pretty much know that my Sundays, I got to keep them to myself. I'm also trying to set myself up so I can be also free on Mondays, give myself enough time to properly recuperate and all that stuff with the new job. So I'll have an idea what's going on with my schedule. I don't think the shows are going to be affected in any way. Because the last thing I would want to do is put myself in a position where I can't give you the content when it's supposed to be delivered. Because we all know a couple of years ago when I dipped back into security and I was juggling them and the market research job, we know how hectic that was, and there was sadly 6 to 7 months where the content was hurting tremendously. I'm not interested in going down that avenue again. So I'll have a better idea in the coming days what's going on with my schedule, but the way it's looking right now, we should be good to go. Should be business as usual. I think if anything where things may be a little tricky is Wednesday nights. I think Wednesday nights may be a little bit tricky because where I'm working, they really need me to kind of essentially close, so I might not be getting out until 9 o'clock at night. So it takes about an hour of a commute to come back home. So that being the case, by the time I get home, both shows would have already gone off the air. So if I were, just think about that for a second, if I were to try and do a show, then that would mean I would have to try to turn around at like 11:30 at night and hope that I can be done with the show in roughly 90 minutes. So that's where things get a little bit tricky right there. So I'm going to try to see how things can pan out with the Wednesday show, because right now I'm seeing the Wednesday show is the one that would definitely be affected. We'll figure it out. We got plenty of time. We'll figure it out. But next go round, as far as when I'm going to be live with you guys again, I'll see what's going on with me and the missus, and maybe we'll do another wrestling with the topics for you guys. But if not, your next edition is going to be coming at you all for Monday, March 30th. We'll be coming on as soon as Raw goes off the air. So tune in for that. That's going to be a really good show. By the way, I can't believe I almost forgot. There is one other thing, and I don't need to spend several minutes on this. NXT Takeover. As you all know, usually NXT Takeover, we get it WrestleMania weekend. Not happening this year with the outbreak and all that. So instead, WWE has decided they're going to be bringing NXT Takeover to the USA Network. So I think that's a really cool ass fucking move that Triple H and WWE are doing. more information as it becomes available. That's a really smart move that they're doing, because a lot of people, including myself, a little bit bummed out that there was no takeover and everything. But at the same time, appreciated that little gap, because we did have some crazy weeks there where, wait a minute, oh, Saudi Arabia, then the next minute, this pay-per-view, and then week and a half after that, another pay-per-view, and then, UK's doing something. So it's kind of cool that, now we're at this point where things have kind of slowed down a bit, and, all right, so this is what we're doing. So that's cool. So get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, use the keywords, the RCWR show. For those of you that constantly represent, check out the show live. Just like to kick back, relax, enjoy the show. Appreciate that. Those of you that's going to be checking this out on demand, love you guys as always. If you're going to be waiting for this for the downloads, I'm taking the rest of the night off. I will upload this later this morning. It will definitely be available by the time you guys get ready to have your lunch break or whatnot. Okay? So much love as always. And I will check you guys out next go around. Y'all do take care.